ever, which really also caught me off guard how sharp his memory was. And he said, "Hey, have you checked the front office for any tickets or anything?" And I said, "Yeah, I didn't, they didn't have anything for me, but that's fine. I'm here for the long haul. It doesn't matter to me." And he goes, "No, I'll make sure. Let me take care of it." And the next show, I had passes every night, from then onwards, right? So, which that was Perry, right? He did all that. He was proactive in that sense, and that's who he was throughout the tour. He would always check in on me, make sure that I was good, make sure that I got to the next show safely. We chatted a lot about after the show about how the show went, and um, a bunch of things. But that's kind of how I met Perry, and that's how he helped me on the tour. Is he gave me access to those after shows, which meant a lot to me.
Unfortunately, we lost Yvonne. I don't know what
You're on
happened.
silent.
I'm silent?
No, I could hear you.
Hello?
I could hear you, Arusha.
Okay, Chris, you can't hear me? Okay, there's all kinds of technical difficulties happening. Okay, so unfortunately, I had to restart the whole thing. Ruben, can you do me a favor and look on Facebook and see if you can see this live on Facebook? This next
Yeah, let me check.
According to Facebook, it says the video's ended.
Right, but I started a new one. It says Perry Part 2. It'll probably come on in a second. Why today, of all days, is the worst? The Facebook link is not working. Okay, I'm gonna wow, I don't even know what that noise is either. There's all kinds of bullshit going on.
Looks like Yvonne's back.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm having there's weird. Can you mute yourself, Yvonne?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so yeah, Yvonne, there's a weird sound issue going on. Can you just check your headphones? Okay, so I see it on. I see the live broadcast on Cure Fan Doc now, Bub. Anybody? Bueller? Fucking hell, man. What is
I'm looking for it now. Let me refresh. Oh, I should turn on recent posts. That's probably what I should be doing.
I think maybe I have too much going on in my small house of internet. Chris, will you share something in the meantime of like the early days? Facebook is okay. Okay, so Martin says Facebook is okay.
Okay, great.
Cure Fan Doc up on YouTube. Okay, great. So we're back. So I think okay, and here, Yvonne, do you want to do a test?
Yes,
Oh yeah, Ivan, your audio.
it's not working.
Yeah, it was working before, but I wonder if you try headphones. Or Ivan, why don't you try speaking now?
Now, can you hear me? One,
Yes,
two,
now it's
three.
good. Now it's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay,
Great.
so let me do this. One,
I
two,
turn
three.
off the microphone.
Ah, okay. So Ivan, why don't you tell us a story?
Well, hi everyone. My name is Ivan. I'm from Mexico. As all of you, I'm very sad for this news. Well, to be honest, you know that in Mexico we have a special way to see the perception of the deaf people, or and it's we try to celebrate instead of being sad, but it's always sad. Like I just want to say that I've been with Perry like 3 times, and it was the three of them was a very nice conversation, a very nice guy, very empathic with me. Of course, he don't know me like you are, Ivan, but I remember him like in 1996 when the Cure came for the first time to Mexico. They play in Monterrey. We've been talking with Arusha in a chat before this. For the we've been talking about the first time they came here, and was very funny for me because I'd never been also in Monterrey, which was the city where they play, and that was my first time also. So I think for for most of them, or all of the band and all of the crew, was also their first time in a Mexican city. Especially Monterrey is not a touristic destiny in Mexico. So I decided to go to Marco, which is the name of the Museum of Contemporary Art. And for my surprise, Perry was there, was the only member of the band, walking alone in the museum and paying attention, to Mexican antique tribes and handcrafts and history of Mexico. So that makes me I got close to him, and he was just very nice with my poor English, poorest at that time than the poor I have now. But well, he was very nice with me. We've been talking for a little bit. He asked me the same. I was hearing that some of you they asked you if you have tickets for the show. He asked me that, and I said I don't need tickets. I already have my own, and it's amazing to see you. Was the time that we don't have any phone or any camera to take a picture with him. So was and I think in the Mexican press, I don't have it right now, unfortunately, but the Mexican press have some pictures of him at that museum. So was very I'm gonna try to find them to send these pictures to Arusha, but he was there. Was the first time I've been talking with him, and actually was the first time I talk with when I talk with somebody of the band, which for me means a lot because I never talk obviously at that time with Robert, with Paul, or with any other member of the band. So the first time I talked with somebody of the Cure was with Perry. Was, like I told you, was a very short conversation, but he was very friendly, very emphatic, and well, And second time and third time, the second time was in Mexico. Well, I'm sorry, the second time was in New Orleans in the Sanger Theater. I think after the show, we went to his hotel and we've been talking, like, just can you sign me this, the book tour, I think, of Blood Flowers. And the last time I talked with him was here in Mexico City at his hotel. Um, for me, was possible to get inside to the place where they been at the hotel, and he was just very 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 nice. Um, to be honest with you, uh, during the last tour, which I've been in many shows in Europe and also in America, I have a feeling or a sensation that I don't saw him smile as I saw him in the past. Was probably is just a perception of mine, but I saw him like a different, like very very serious, but like the he was. I mean, he was a very nice person also. So that's what like I want to say for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and send me the photos of him at the museum. That's really interesting.
Yeah, of course.
What Yvonne is talking about was something that Perry did a lot with fans from all over the world. He loved to travel, explore. Yvonne, I think you have to mute yourself because it's feeding back. Like we can hear. Just mute. He loved to travel, explore. There you go. Oh, he went away again. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm gonna do this view because I want to share some stories. And what I wanted to do earlier was share some photos in this image like I have of Perry on the side, but every time I tried to add them, the live stream shut down. So anyway, so Perry, the beautiful thing about Perry is that he loved meeting people. At least that was my experience of him, is that he was really jovial and fun and really just, like I said, like really cared about experiences. And so when Yvonne was talking about his experience of running into him at the museum, that happened to so many people. That's happened to so many Cure fans, seeing him out and about. My friends went ice skating with him. When Yvonne was talking about... Oh, now somebody's... Oh, Chris, make sure that maybe mute yourself, Chris. Great. Thanks. So there was one time where Perry went ice skating with like 8 Cure fans. And then there's Hungarians who walked... Oh my God, I'm going to get upset again. There Hungarians who toured, took him around Budapest because he had never been there. Or maybe he had been there, but he just wanted to have that experience with them. So one thing I wanted to do, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Alison Moyet. Does everyone know who Alison Moyet is? No? Alison Moyet is a singer. She is a singer for Yaz, and she's a beautiful solo artist, and she's from Basildon, England. Chris, if you can hear me, do you know where Basildon is?
Yeah, it's Essex, so it's east of London, sort of towards kind of Doverish, but not that far down. So yeah, it's a suburb now of London, so it's east.
It's east of London, and then
Yeah,
Crawley is south. Is that right?
south. Yeah,
Okay, so you put
so
a dart on.
south southeast of London, further down. So it's Essex. It's a county.
Okay, so I bring this up because Alison Moyet, the singer, says on X today, she says, I met Perry Beaumonte in primary school, and we became good friends. He bought me castanets from Spain. He and I sat together in the school corridor painting. We hung out as young punks together in the same gang. Gentle, kind, and tender man. I will never forget you. R.I.P. dear soul. So that was Alison Moyet, and the gang she's talking about is what was called the Basildon gang. So Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Basildon is inside Essex. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
So
a town.
right. So basically, Perry Beaumonte and Daryl, and believe me, if the Beaumontes are watching and I'm wrong, just kick my butt. But so once upon a time in the 70s, Perry, or even earlier in the 60s. So Perry and Daryl are Perry and Daryl Beaumonte, and everybody else are growing up in Basildon in Essex, and they are in the same primary school, and I believe like a church or something, that Vince Clarke, who started Depeche Mode and Yaz, and all the Depeche Mode folks were. So meanwhile, while Robert and Simon and Lowell and Matthew Hartley were off in Crawley in the south, these guys were over in this other town. So like punk rock is starting, right? All of that is happening. And all these little factions of bands are brewing. Allison and Vince were starting to sing and perform together. They all had little punk rock bands. Perry was in like 5,000 bands before he was in The Cure. They just weren't successful ones. And you can find this, if anyone is really swift, there's a Basildon like punk.com scene. I was going to try to bring it up, like put it in the chat, but I can't. But it's really cool because you can go back and see really old pictures of Perry. So anyway, so Alison Moyet, Vince Clarke, Martin Gore, Dave Gahan, Perry, all these people were hanging out at all these clubs. They're all in 10,000 bands, just like I'm sure many people here know people who are in 10,000 bands, right? Perry, I'm going to show you some pictures like in a very ghetto fantastic way, but Perry told me a story for one of my fanzines that goes like this. He was a Cure fan, okay? So at this time in 1978, 79, and not that many of his friends knew The Cure. Some did, some didn't, but they were coming up, right? So he goes to his local bar, and he sees this band called No Romance in China. And No Romance in China was Vince Clarke, his band. So Vince Clarke, again, he started Depeche Mode, and he started Yaz. Hopefully everybody's following me. So No Romance in China plays, and Perry's there in the crowd. He's part of this Basildon gang of cool kids. But the last song that No Romance in China plays is Three Imaginary Boys. So Perry, being a Cure fan, geeks out, just like we do. And he goes to the singer at the end of the concert. He says, Vince, he's like, hey, I'm Perry. Oh, it was a great set. Da, 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 da. Oh, I noticed you played Three Imaginary Boys by The Cure. And Vince is like, yeah, I love The Cure. And he's like, me too. And then Vince says, hey, I'm driving to London next week. You want to go? Until they got in a car and they went to see The Cure together. An hour at least, maybe not 5,000 miles like we go for The Cure, but it was outside of their zone. And I'm going to try to show you a photo. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on. So this is a photo that a friend of mine, Jamie Lawler Illustration, did for my fanzine. And if you can see it, so there's Perry, there's little Perry in the car with Vince driving. Vince is wearing the sweater. Simon, Lowell, Hartley, and Robert. What do you think of that? Can everybody see it? Anybody, somebody unmute and tell me that you can see it.
Yeah, I saw it. That's awesome. Who illustrated that for the story? Who was that again?
It's Jamie Lawler Illustration. She's online. She's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And when I first met Perry, here's another great story, which I've told a million times. It was in 1996, after 10 years of wanting to meet The Cure. And my friend Ian and I chased the bus with a bunch of other people. My friend Lindy, I'm going to call her Lindy because Chris, I don't know if she wants to be outed. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
My friend Lindy Hop had already met Perry and met you, Chris, and a bunch of other people. And I was extremely jealous. And I was like, we got to meet The Cure. So she had after show passes from Roger O'Donnell. And I was outside. This is in Denver. So I'm sitting there by the door outside, and they're in the after party, and I'd never been to an after party before. And so I was just imagining the champagne flowing and like the cocktails and just the hoo-ha. But it actually happened really, they had this after party really fast, and Cindy comes running out and she's like, it was just Roger. We're going to go to the hotel. Oops, I outed her. Lindy Hop. So we get in the car and it's like a high-speed chase in Denver, Colorado. And I'm telling you, like 10 cars chasing the bus. 10 cars, and the bus is going fast and we're running red lights. I have one eye open, one eye closed. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, but I want it to happen because I want to meet The Cure. So we get there and we literally like, Ian like slams the car. We open the door. We don't even close the door and we jump out. And by that point, like Simon had gone in and we saw Jason for 5 seconds. And, you know, then I was like, I had to go meet Robert and I was like, oh God. And he signed my little piece of paper or whatever. I have a picture of it on my media. He looks like he's going to stab me with a Sharpie. But the point is that like after I met Robert, I mean, I was so out of it, as maybe some of you know, like if you were lucky enough to meet Robert, sometimes you're just like, what the hell just happened, right? Because you're so nervous. So anyway, so I turn and I see Perry. And Perry's there like this. He's like chewing gum. And I'm doing this because he had like a yo-yo. He always had like a prop. Like in 1992, he would be roller skating around the arena. I never met him then, but in 1996, he always had a yo-yo. So I went up to him and I said, "Oh my God, that was so stressful meeting Robert." And he's like, "Oh, I know, right?" And I'm like, "What do you mean you know? You're fucking Perry Bamonte of The Cure." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm a fan." And I was like, "What does that mean, you're a fan? Like, you're Perry Bamonte of The Cure." Anyway, the point is that Perry was so nice and so kind, and no one else was around him in that moment. But then other people saw that Perry was there and he started talking. We all started chit-chatting with Perry and Daryl. I didn't know who Daryl was. And my friend Ian is like, "Where's Simon? Will you have him come out?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." I was so embarrassed. Because here we are talking to Perry from The Cure. And he's like, "Where's Simon?" And I'm like, isn't Perry good enough for you? But Perry, being the fucking kind guy that he is, he's like, "Let me see if I can go get Simon. He's really shy." And I was like, Simon Gallup is not shy. Like, I knew what I was talking about. And he's like, no, he's shy. So Perry goes into the hotel, and it's whatever o'clock at night, and we're just kicking the cans around, if you can imagine, as we do, waiting, outside of the venue or the hotel, unfortunately, because that's what we do. And we didn't think the band was going to come out, but we were just meeting each other and enjoying ourselves. And out walks Perry Bamonte with Simon Gallup. And Simon was really shy. And he could barely, at the time, he was like, "Hey, what's up?" He didn't say what's up because he's not American, but he probably said, "Hello." And we talked to Simon because Perry cared and went in and got him when he could have just ditched us and gone on with his evening. Do you know what I mean? Like, he took the time, all the time, to deal with fans. And from that point on, like, he like gave me tickets to gigs and whatnot. And it's not even about that. It's about the music, but he changed my life. And he was so bright and so loving. And so maybe right now, since I'm getting teary again, I just maybe want to give a shout out to his family, Donna and Daryl, and all the people that I don't know. And just know that our heart is with you right now, because Perry is such a lovely man. And just know how just sincerely loved he is across the world. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was, I mean, and you said it, Arusha, he was always advocating for the fan. Whether you noticed it or not, or you saw it or not.
Shall I tell my story that I was talking about at the very beginning of this when you were getting Donna hooked up?
Yeah.
So I've got many Perry stories, having ran a fan club with Janie. First off, we joined the Wish tour in '92 in America. I think we did 11 or 12 shows. And one thing he loved doing was, after they played the concert, he would go back to the hotel with the band, or sometimes Robert stayed behind, and he would try and get them to open the pool up so he could go swimming. And apparently that's what he loved doing every time he went into the hotel. And of course, the hotel staff, and being Americans, didn't really want to open the pool, because it's like, "We shut the pool at 10 p.m, sir, and it's 3 a.m. You can't go swimming." And he would like plead with them, and eventually they'd allow us to go swimming. So we did this a couple of times with Bruno, and we take our drinks from the bar and go swimming at 3 a.m. And that's something he loved doing. Just quite funny. Another big memory I have is we went to Portugal. We did some summer festivals, and we went to Portugal and Spain, and the Hungarians and the Eastern Europeans started following them around a lot, and none of these guys had any money.
That's
And
these
of course
guys.
he put them on the guest list, and most of them didn't speak English, but they were really pleasant people. Anyway, in Portugal, after the show, he gave that kind of beckoning Perry thing he does, like, "Come over here," and asked me to go with him to the band's dressing room where their rider was. and we filled our hoodies up with cheese rolls, and we took them out backstage through the backstage door into the festival fence, and passed them through the cheese rolls to the Hungarian fans, and that was just very typical of Perry doing that, looking after everyone. It's just what he did. And I was at his very first show in Paris and his very last show in London. And yeah, he's just a huge part of my Cure life, and just so friendly. And he before the internet, he'd phone me up sometimes at home and say, "Hey, Chris, are you free next weekend? Like, we're going to New York. Do you want to come? Or we're doing a TV show." And he would just invite me along, which was fantastic. And when we were doing the Cure News fanzines, we would send questions off to the band, and he was always the first one to send questions back with his answers. And he'd doodle little cartoons, mostly of UFOs, because he was really into UFOs at the time.
He still, he always was.
Yeah,
he always was. It irritated me.
Yeah, he'd doodle on everything. And sometimes when he'd doodle on Cure fanzines for us, we would send them out to fans without telling them that he'd done it. When they got the publication in the post in America or Brazil or Mexico or anywhere, there was an original Perry cartoon in there.
Yeah. Do you have any of those, Chris?
I don't know. No.
Okay. This is a picture. I want to hear more stories from you, Chris, but this is a picture of Perry and Paul and friends at the bungalow. This is the Basildon, Essex. Look at how young. Whoops. Look at how young he is here. He's just a little punk rocker. Where is he? Yeah. Oi. Here we go. Look at the dee. I hope that's not too creepy, but that's me being affectionate. That's me making a goofy sound for somebody that I care about. So what about the first show, Chris? You said the first show he played was where?
Plaster Republic, a free concert in Paris. I've got some stats here. This is off of Cure Gig Stats on Twitter. Perry played 498 gigs in 37 countries. He played 144 different Cure songs. His first song was Shake Dog Shake in Paris, and his final song was Boys Don't Cry in London. Total performances were overall 12572. What does that mean?
Wait, what?
It says 12572 performances of 144 different songs.
1, 2, 5. Somebody help with maths. 1, 2.
Yeah, I don't get that. But anyway, he did 498 shows with the band. So crazy, remarkable.
Wait, 1, 2, 5, 7, 2. That just means like that's like the number of songs he did, probably. Some fucking
Maybe.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And I've got, hold this up. So this is it's gone. An issue of Cure News 16 where he answered a lot of the questions for us. What is your greatest fear? Dying and finding out I was the only one of many and having to do it all over again.
What?
What characteristics do you think you inherited from your parents? None that I'd admit, but probably a lot. And do you consider yourself to be too sensitive? Oh, please don't ask me that.
Oh, yeah. What else? What else? Tell us more. You got any more in there?
No,
You don't.
no.
This is, if I can get it. So if you can see, this is Perry and some guy in a band called the School Bullies. Can you guys see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Do I? Oh, there's my silly face. I'll do a solo of just me for a second, so I can. So this is another young Perry. Looky, the School Bullies, being a punk rocker. Let me see. There's one more that I wanted to. Oh, this is the one. I love this one. He was a big Damned fan back in the day. I don't know how he feels now, but here he is, dressing like Captain Sensible. What a guy. What a guy. I think there's some technical stuff going on, but I'm just not able to keep up. Bob, what's happening? Is everything okay? Bub. Tell me, Bub, because you are the tech guy. Oh, Ivan's video is gone, but just his audio. I think Ivan just is popping out and in and out. So Bub says, just because I don't know off the top of my head, was Perry always a guitarist, or did he start with bass? Did I see him holding a bass with the School Bullies? I don't know. That's a good question for Daryl Bamonte. Where's Daryl? Daryl, are you with us? Probably not. And Donna, if you're sending me any messages, I'm too all over the place. But I think he did both. And I think that's another thing I'd like to bring up about Perry Bamonte is he was a really fucking good musician. I don't know if he started with bass or guitar, but I know that he played both. I feel like his guitar was, more of the love of his playing. And I did ask him at one point, I said something about starting in The Cure or being a roadie for them. Because he was in all these bands. And so I think I was probably like, well, why did you abandon your bands that were yours to go be a roadie? I mean, I knew the answer, right? But I just wanted to hear him talk. So he said, well, I had to ask myself, do I want to play in a band that's not going to go anywhere? Or do I want to play in a band that is going everywhere, that's like a really good fucking band? Does anybody know the story of how he got into The Cure? No.
I don't. I don't. Could be very interesting to know how
I know
he
it.
make it. Can you share it, please?
Yes. I really wish I just have these, Perry only has 4 photos. We only have 4 photos of Perry in existence because that's all I can show. But so this is another story that Daryl shared with me graciously for my fanzine. And Perry probably. But so again, back in the day of the Basil Dawn era, so we can go back to 1979. I think that Perry then became better friends with Vince Clarke. I know I'm getting some of the story messed up, but I wish that we could get Sorry, I'm pausing because I was gonna just say I wish we could get the story straight from the Bamontes, but they have much better things to be doing right now. But anyway, so they're just doing the music stuff, and Daryl is roadieing for Depeche Mode. Perry's playing in his band. I don't know if he was roadieing, and this is now we're getting into like the early 80s. Depeche Mode is getting bigger. There was a moment in 1983 or 84 where Daryl, who became like Depeche Mode's right-hand guy, they said, we can't take you over to Europe because of whatever. It had nothing to do with Daryl. And he said, the management said, but we can get you with a band that you like. Who do you want to go with? And he said, I want to work for The Cure. That was Daryl. So Daryl started working for The Cure first, if I'm getting my story straight. And then he got Perry the job. So Perry, I want to say Daryl was a roadie from 83, and then Daryl was a roadie from 83, and then Perry was in 84, or something very close, right? So that's another neat thing to think about, is that but when Perry joins the band, he's a guitar player, he's a bass player. And I don't know what else they had at home. A lot of musicians have 10,000 things, like Ruben's sitting there with 8 million guitars in the background, and you probably have like some effects pedals, and you probably have a keyboard that's there. And so even though you're not a virtuoso piano player, but maybe you are, you know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of cool to think about Perry and Daryl as roadies for The Cure. So Perry was there from the top, maybe? I'm not sure, but that's another.
Yeah, I think he shows up in the Japan import VHS. If any of you have that, I think some of the backstage footage you can see Perry in some of that footage as a roadie.
Oh, nice.
And that was 84, the top tour, I believe.
Yeah. So so if you think about like how much time and how much of his life The Cure was, he's a roadie from 84 to 90, right, Chris?
Yeah, 84. The top story started, I believe, and I met him in 86.
Where was that?
I think it might have been Glastonbury. I think Glastonbury Festival.
Give us a story.
It was mud. No, it wasn't muddy. It was don't really have much of a story about Glastonbury.
Oh, come on. You can tell a story. Come on.
Not really. Don't really have one about Glastonbury. I got Robert's dad on the gate to go and get Robert, and the band are sort of in the car park. I remember Perry being there. Someone shared a photo of that on their Facebook page today as well.
Of Glastonbury?
Yeah. I guess I could talk about when the band invited us to the recording of Never Enough in the studio.
Yes. How fun is that?
We went down there. It was not far from where we lived at the time in West London. It was out in Buckinghamshire, and they said, "Oh, you'll come along, and we'll play you the song and what we've done so far and the B-side." We arrived about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, none of the other band members are up. But Perry was there, and we sat in the kitchen for a couple of hours until we woke up and had to him, looked after us for a walk. And again, we took some copies of Cure News down there, and he doodled all over those. With and Paul came in as well, and then eventually the rest of the band members woke up, and we all had dinner around a big oak table with some bottles of red wine and chatted to everyone. But again, yeah, he always had the time for us, Janie and I, and yeah, like I said, that was the sort of thing he'd do when he'd phone up and say, "Hey, if you're free this weekend, you know, come down, or we're doing this. Do you want to go?" And ask fans to come along as well sometimes for TV shows.
This is a picture of the band in the Never Enough video, like obviously a post picture. Look at it. Chris, so can you go back to, you were saying that he would phone you? He would phone you and Janie?
He'd phone us at home, because it was pre-internet, so he'd call up and see if we wanted to do something that the band were doing, with a TV show or recording or a video or anything. So yeah, that sort of thing he did.
And how many people do we know who he's written letters to? You know?
Yeah, hundreds probably.
He was such a correspondent. I'm trying to find like all the pictures of the Never Enough video are so weird. Highly recommend watching the Never Enough video. It's very good.
I watched a documentary on rollingstone.com YouTube channel this afternoon, and Lady Gaga talks about influences of her favorite songs, and she said Never Enough was her favorite Cure song.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So I want to do a check-in with the crowd. I know that can we still be seen on Facebook? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Bernardo Jimenez Mesa says that video was the first time most of us knew about him. Oh, that's an interesting thought too. Actually, Chris, if you think about it, because Never Enough was a single, right? And it came out when, 1990?
Yeah, it would have been the first thing he was on, yeah.
Yeah. So the way that I watch comments when I'm monitoring this is like through my app, so I can't really see it in real time on the other apps. So if Yvonne or Ruben or Chris see any good questions or comments or memories, I'd like to share them if you see anything.
I think somebody asked about the Japan video, if they can watch it on YouTube. I'm not sure if anybody's uploaded on YouTube. I have it on VHS, unfortunately, so I can't show it to you. But I'm pretty sure maybe somebody has. Maybe what's that one website that's really great for archives? I think it's CureDE or something like. I forget the actual URL, but that's a really good archive for live footage. Let me find it for you.
Someone's saying that they saw Perry at the Grand Rex in Paris with his band Love Amongst Ruin. Do you guys know about that?
Not enough. Remind me.
So when he left The Cure, he formed a band with Steve Hewitt from Placebo, who was the Placebo drummer, who left that band also, and they did us a couple of shows. I went to see the London one at the Barfly, I think. They were really good, but they didn't last long, probably about 6 months, I'd say.
Mm.
I don't know if anybody saw them. I really like them. He played guitar and Steve drums. There was a bass player and a singer. They were kind of like electro goth.
Right, right. Now that you're saying that, I remember it was the guy from Placebo. I'm trying to pull up
Yeah.
a live image. Oh, here's one. Here's one. But it's so tiny. Oh, you jerk faces. All right, I'm gonna have to do. um, yeah. So that's the thing. Is like what? So then when he was out of the Cure, he was playing music.
He's playing bass.
Yeah,
There it
playing
is.
bass.
Is it
Yeah, he's playing bass.
Yeah. Yep. Um,
Well,
and
two things. Sorry to interrupt.
no, do it.
Just to let you know that Claire, Beth, and Donna are watching right now. Well, another thing I want to say is I think Perry have a strong relationship with the nature. And well, the third time I saw him, or I was the last time I talked with him, I know that he was a fisherman. Especially, he likes a lot fly fishing. So I used to go fishing also, and well, I this that time when I saw him, I tried to talk of something different, not related necessary with music or the new album or something, but I knew since 1996 when they did the swing tour, he put in his pastimes, like he likes fishing, astronomy, archaeology. So we have two things in common: archaeology, that there's a lot of things in Mexico, and fishing, that we like that two things. And I saw a lot of pictures of him fishing, so that's a very nice side of him. I mean, and well, I just want to say that.
Yes, agreed. Ruben. Oh,
That
that's
man.
is that that lists the comments. What can you read that? What tour is that
This
from?
so this is the swing tour book, the tour book. Well, that I got in America on that tour. Of course, maybe it was different in Europe. I'm not sure, but Perry has his own section, and they asked what are his favorite things, and the favorite pastime he mentions fishing, astronomy, archaeology, um, and yeah, that's really cool to see. I forgot I still held on to this one. It's like one of my favorite books, but there's some really good Q&A stuff. There's also some really good like pictures of the full band from that time in that era. There's also like a catalog um, of the Cure, their music, but this time was a really cool time, and probably a really cool time for Perry too, because he went from keyboardist to lead guitar on that tour. And um, I mean, if you think about his story and how magical it was going from roadie to keyboardist to the lead guitarist of one of the biggest bands in the world, it's a dream, right? So really cool story that Perry has, really cool legacy. I think it's the closest I think anybody will get to living a a true dream, right? Especially if you were a fan of the band, and lots of us learned the Cure songs, and Perry, he got that shot, and it was really cool to see it kind of live vicariously through him. I'm sure a lot of us had dreamed of, having that moment.
Whew, here I go again. I'm trying not to cry. Donna, Claire, and Beth are watching, so if you guys want us to say anything, Donna, Claire, Beth, look at Perry there. Oh my God, it's so funny. I don't know why that's making me laugh. He's like, I'm very serious right now.
Yeah, this is the Dream Tour tour book, and he's in it quite a lot.
Yeah, so if anybody, I see some relays from Sophie and Yvonne, thank you, obviously, and Donna, but if anybody sees anything from Donna, Claire, or Beth, please shout it out, because I just don't have the capacity. But where did there was that picture I just tried to pull up with Perry from his fly fishing. Now, I don't know. Here's the question for Donna. Who's this? Which doggy dog is this? This is Perry when he was fly fishing. This is from the Fly Fishing magazine. And this was his later years. And I don't understand. When you fly fish, do you catch the fish and let it go?
Yes, most of the times it's just catch and release. I mean, we don't need them. We just fishing them. Usually is rainbow trout. Actually, the picture of Perry fishing is letting go rainbow trout. But most of the times, usually when you do sport fishing or fly fishing, you return the fish to the water. I mean, and I saw a couple of pictures of him fishing that one. Yeah, that one and another one. And most of the times you release them. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, because I think, at least in the later part of his life, he was a vegan. So that's why I was wondering about that. And like I said, like he's a lover of all creatures, of everything. Like such a spiritual person too, I think. Even to the point where he and I are arguing about UFOs because I don't care about UFOs. And he does. But he, Donna takes care of horses and rides horses, and like I said, like they have so many animals that they took care of and take care of. I mean, Donna still does, right, Donna? But that's something beautiful about Perry. Like this photo here, Donna shared it on her stories, and if you see it, it's beautiful. This is Love and Lamb. So it's a little dog and a little lamb, and they're following Perry. And they follow him into his house. I mean, how beautiful is that, right?
Very nice. I saw the full video, and you can see how the lamb and the dog go inside the house with him.
Yeah. Another story I'm remembering when Yvonne... Oh, wait a minute. Somebody says, does anyone know in which songs he played bass? Yes. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, God. There's so much happening. Does anyone know in which songs he played bass? Yesterday, I read in quite a few sites that he played or recorded 6-string bass for The Cure. Never heard that before.
Yeah, I think I I don't know what songs he recorded the six string bass on, but I imagine like it was either him or Robert Wright doing it. I know also on the Cure self-titled, he played a custom baritone bass with only like four strings on it, and they were really heavy gauge strings to get like more of a really heavy sound. I want to say on the Promise is where he plays that, and he also played it on stage as well. So if you see any Curiosa footage, you'll see him playing what looks to be like a baritone guitar, but it's like a baritone four string, like custom instrument.
Wow.
And I think the other thing that the talent that Perry had is he was, I think, one of the best at duplicating Robert's playing on the string bass.
Mhm.
So a lot of what Robert did live at one time was passed on to Perry as his responsibility. And if you closed your eyes, you couldn't even tell. You couldn't tell Perry was playing the part. You would think it was Robert. And if you listen to a lot of the live recordings, it's really hard to tell who played the part live. And I always found that interesting because it's not easy to emulate Robert's style on the six string bass, but I think he did it perfectly. And sometimes it would fool me. And so when I do listen to Wild Mood Swings, those recordings, like Jupiter Crash, right? The solo on that's on a six string bass, and sometimes like I'm not sure who played that, if it was Robert that played that or if it was Perry that played that. You sometimes you just couldn't tell because Perry was really good at covering that sonic ground for Robert during that time.
Yeah, Ruben, I really love all of your deep knowledge of who plays what. I mean, all three of you have more bandwidth for that than I do, but Ruben goes deep. So Ruben, do you think what am I trying to say? So you're talking about the 2004 era, and then you're talking about Wild Mood
Mhm.
Swings, but then we also saw it live, right? We
Right.
saw it in the last tour, the last two tour, last two, three, whatever 2022, 2023, 24, right?
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, the 2022, 23, what you observed?
Yeah, I think, Perry, I think, jumped back into the role he was in during Wish, right? Where it was like, do whatever's necessary to complement the sound and fill it up, right? And so if you look at the Troxy video, you'll see him doubling Robert's guitar part, or sometimes you'll see him doubling a six string bass part that Reeves is playing, or he'll be on a keyboard, right, filling in, the space there. And so, and like it's crazy to, when I watched that, I went to the theater watch it. It's really cool to see him doubling those guitar lines that are so famous, and you don't notice it in a live setting, but I think the camera work that they did really captured the work that he was doing on the stage, and really making it sound that much bigger. And the other thing too, when you have Perry on stage, is it unlocks a lot of two keyboard songs. Something like Cold or Piggy in the Mirror, Trust, like all of those songs become possible with Perry on stage, because he's so dynamic, right? He could jump to a keyboard He could jump to six string. He could jump to his guitars, and so yeah, it's going to be interesting moving forward to see how they figure that out, and if those songs ever make their way back into a live set. Um, but yeah, Perry, his musicianship was insane, because if you think about how he went from a support role, right, to lead guitarist, where you're jumping around and soloing, right, and doing everything that Pearl did in the past, and then going back years later into support, kind of like you never left, and having that talent and that arsenal. Like, it was very underrated for The Cure to have him back in the band, and I think that's why they sounded so good, in this recent run, and the recordings, obviously. I know a lot of people questioned, oh, why is he on the stage? Do they really need him? I think the whoever shot the film did a really good job of like showing you this is why he's important to the band, and this is what he brings to the band. Because I know there are a lot of new fans that just maybe don't get it, or maybe didn't get to enjoy that era when Perry was the lead guitarist.
Hmm.
Um, if there's a song called Before Three on their self-titled album, and there's like a really punchy driving six-string bass line. I'm almost certain that's Perry. I'm almost certain, but he did play it live, and I remember being on the Curiosa tour and talking to him backstage, and I told him, look, I noticed that the mix on that song, your bass isn't loud enough, and that's the key part of the song. That's the line that drives the song. And he took that feedback to heart, and he said, yeah, we'll have to sort it out. And I think the next show they played that song live, and he's playing the six-string bass, and he like made eye contact with me in the crowd, and I gave him like a signal, like, still can't hear it, right? Like, it's still lost in the mix. He walks over to his amp. His guitar tech comes out at the time. He goes behind his amp, does something, and then you could hear it. And I give him the thumbs up, and he's like, okay, cool, we're good, right? And you can hear it. They fixed the mix. I saw him that night backstage, and I told him, I don't know what you did, but it was perfect, right? And it really complements the song. That's the main line of the song. That should be front and center. And we had a laugh, because he's like, oh, you saw me go back there? And I go, yeah, what'd you do? You turned it up? And he's like, I turned it on. The amp was off. And we
Oh my
laughed.
God.
We had such a laugh about that, because nobody knew, right? And Perry was very professional on stage. He wasn't demonstrative about it, but we shared a laugh about that, because this whole time well, maybe it was the mix earlier, but this time his amp was off, and we laughed about it, right? But yeah, Perry was great. An amazing musician, and did whatever needed to be done in the band, and you can tell he really loved being there, right? Because most people, after being a lead guitarist, would be too proud to come back and be support, but not Perry.
Really well said. And really cool story.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever told that story, but it was funny. It was really funny, because we would talk about things like that, at the end of the shows, of like what I was hearing, and just little things like that I noticed.
How many shows this was Curiosa, right? How many
Mhm.
shows did you end up seeing?
All of North America, including the Seattle makeup show that had to happen. It went to Everett at some ice hockey arena, and then I ended my tour in Monterrey, Mexico. I I drove down from Texas to see that show, and that was by far the craziest show of the tour. It was like 3 hours plus, and they didn't travel with their video setup. So it was like going back in time and seeing The Cure, where they just had a very a very bare bones lighting setup. And the crowd was insane. Like it was like the loudest show. You couldn't even hear the band at times because everybody's singing and dancing. It was insane.
Yvonne, I see you. I see you.
Yes, because I think since the first time they came to Mexico, I'm agree with all Ruben is saying, and it's true. Was a very special show. I think since the first time, you know that all the Mexican shows, we are very noisy people. We scream, we dance, I mean, we do a lot of things, and I think we are a good public, but it's true that that show was a great show. It was a great audience with a very particular signs at that time in 1996 in Mexico was a different time than our story now. So we have I have right now here the book of the Wish tour of that era. Here's the picture of Perry at that time. So there were some books at that time selling in Mexico, and well, was an amazing show. Uh, just to compare, the one thing I want to tell you is that in the last tour in 2023, I think, or 2022 in Berlin, um, I was able to talk with Roger at the airport, and I say, "Hey, during the show, somebody was trying to. We've been singing a couple of fans, and I've been there all singing. I don't remember many songs, and suddenly somebody comes to us and says, 'Hey, you shut up, please.'" And we were like, "Why?" Because I came here to hear the Cure, not to hear you. So I share this, and the people says we are not going to shut up our mouths. We are going to keep singing. And this girl called to the police, and the police asked us to loud to I mean to sing a little bit louder,
Wait, where was this?
in Berlin, in Germany.
Weird.
So was a little bit strange, and well, Roger at the airport says that he was thinking that the public in Germany usually is not like the Mexican public that we are very noisy.
Well, you're passionate.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And Mexico doesn't get to see The Cure often, right? So I think they really celebrate the moment, right? They have more gratitude when the bands, come to town there,
Yeah,
and they don't take it for granted. What's funny is I so after the show, that show, there was a market, like a huge
yeah,
market selling, bootleg Cure merchandise. And it was some of the best Cure merchandise I had ever seen. And I'm not talking like one or two boots. I'm talking about blocks of Cure merchandise, Zippo lighters, you name it, right? I've never seen anything like this before. And it was raining so hard that night. The streets were almost flooding with how much rain was coming down. And there was this shirt, and I bought it because they did embroidery from the Wish era, of course, and then of course they have Robert's face here. But here they put the date of the
Yeah, of
show,
course.
and they put all the North American dates on there as well. And what's interesting about this shirt is I didn't buy it. I regretted it for so long. And one day I was in Hollywood at one of the various hundreds of rock stores that they have on the Hollywood Strip. And I walked into this rock store and they had this shirt that I thought about for years, and I regretted not buying. And I immediately grabbed it, and I was so happy. And people were like, "What are you happy about? This isn't even official Cure shirt. It's not official merchandise." And I was like, "You have no idea. This is my favorite shirt that I've ever seen." And it came from Monterrey, Mexico. And yeah, I still have it. I've never worn it. I don't think I've ever touched it, but I wanted to share that because it does remind me of that time and that era. And I'll also share one more thing that Perry signed for me that I really love. He signed my Boys Don't Cry shirt. That's his signature right there.
Mm.
And yeah, I'll always have this. I'll always remember him.
I saw this. Oh my God, the fucking wheel works. The water works, you guys. I can't. I'm like a faucet. So on Viet on Facebook says this. We'll never forget German open air live Robert drunk, as in lying down on the stage, and Perry laughing and playing a forest or disintegration. I don't know what date that was, but let's see, German open air live. We all know that there's a lot of Drunky McDrunk situations, and that's funny that this person remembers Perry basically filling in for him, I guess. Is that right? Am I reading that right? Does anyone know when that German open air festival may be? Oh, you're working on that? While you're working on that, let me pull up another photo. This one. Here's a photo of, this is from the Basildon site. Look at young Perry being a dork with his punk rock friends. That's so cute. And then this photo. So my documentary, really, like, my ability to have any photos, any video, anything from The Cure was really because of Perry and Daryl. This is a picture of Perry with Autumn, one of the quote-unquote antenna girls from the Dream Tour. And in this moment, we are backstage at the last show ever. We thought it was the last show ever on the Dream Tour because Robert kept saying that, right? And you would think, you would think that the last show ever, there'd be, like I said earlier in my 1996 story, cake and champagne and, oh my God, I'm so happy, and that you guys are all here, because there was a lot of fans backstage. But no, Robert never came out, and we were having fun amongst ourselves. Like, Roger came out and Jason came out and Perry came out to talk to people, but Billy Corgan was there and Billy Zane, all these Billies. Screw the Billies. I was like, I don't care about you people. Like, what about the little people, huh? But anyway, that moment was when Perry literally was like, I'm trying, let me see if I can whistle them out here. Let me see if I can will them out here. Meaning Robert and Simon, and it didn't work. But that's okay. But Perry said goodbye to all of us. And then I think there was some like dumb after party. But it was pretty incredible on the Dream Tour how we all thought it was like the end, you know? I guess it was the same for a lot of the tour. I mean, a lot of the tours, right? What's that?
I found an old picture of when The Cure did their signing at BFD at Shoreline. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll try to
Oh,
upload these on
yeah.
Instagram. This is when they did an unannounced signing, and you can see Perry there and Simon with his head down, but it's good to find that one.
Yeah, another thing. Oh God, look at this precious one. Where is this one from? I feel like this has been seen. Look at how young he is here. You see, he's in the middle with the Spurts shirt on. But I can't remember. This is just stuff that I have on my laptop.
Here's one more of Perry at the Blood Flowers signing in San Francisco at the Virgin Megastore. They were there for like 6 or 7 hours. And I was like one of the last groups to get in. And Perry was, the first person in line, and he was so nice and so happy. And I thought I was going to meet the band and they were going to be like, yeah, hurry up. We've been here all day. But, seeing Perry was the first face that I see. And it's amazing to see how, just happy and welcoming he was, and they were clearly tired. They clearly had a long day. But they stayed and made sure that pretty much every fan got to come in, meet them, and get their copy of Blood Flowers signed, which was a really memorable day for me, meeting the band and getting their signatures on that CD.
Yeah, that was a good one. So Bridge says Bizarre Festival in Cologne, Germany in August 1998. We were there and had so much fun. That was the Drunky McDrunk where Perry stepped in and played A Forest and Disintegration or whatever while Robert was on the floor. But hey, man, that's rock and roll, right? Here's another picture. Uh-oh. My battery is telling me that we're going to have to end very soon. So here's another picture of Perry. These are with the Hungarians. So we've been babbling for almost 2 hours anyway. I do want to end with something that Perry talked to me about, which was... Fuck, I'm going to get upset again. It was just that, when he was asked to play keyboards in The Cure, of course he's not, what is he going to do? Say no? Of course he's going to say yes. But I think that other band members, like maybe Pearl, and I don't know who else, somebody can help me, like helped him, learn more about playing keyboards. And he said to me, he's like, can you imagine like going from being a roadie to playing keyboards for The Cure? And he just told me how honored he was. And there's Yvonne showing a picture of...
Yeah, that's a picture in New Orleans. during the Dream tour, and later in Mexico, he signed me that picture.
That's beautiful.
That's a very beautiful memory.
So
And this is
oh, go ahead.
another one.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, there's so much online right now. It's kind of overwhelming, to be honest. Kate, maybe I'll end with this story. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to say, but like, there's Perry, the musician, the member of The Cure, the band that brought us all together. There's Perry with his beautiful family, and Donna, and everyone, brother, father to so many animals, UFO nutbag. Have to make fun of him for something. Gentle man, very intuitive, which is what they said on the Cure's website. Calling Chris White and Janie and writing to so many people. I mean, we have these stories, but it's not just about meeting Perry. It's about The Cure. It's about seeing him and seeing his presence. Kate from Cure Threads asked me if I remember anything about 1996 Fairfax, and maybe we can end on that. No. Yes, 1996 Fairfax. I hope I have it right. So Fairfax was towards the end of the Swing Tour. And you have to remember the Swing Tour, a lot of people met The Cure, I think, because that album kind of tanked. But for the diehards that followed them around, there was no harm in letting in a bunch of fans, right? Because, like, that's my theory, is like, why not let in a bunch of fans if you have a bunch of empty seats? So for us, it was a dream, versus now The Cure is so popular that, like, I just don't think they could do that anymore for people. I don't know that they'd want to, but anyway, so something magical started happening towards the end of the 1996 tour, which I believe happened a little bit in Europe, which is that the fans that were waiting outside by the fence, acting like a bunch of assholes, not some, like, we weren't privileged people. We were just dorks waiting by the venue very early for an opportunity. And Kate is talking about Fairfax, 1996. And from what I remember, there was a big crowd. And I remember there being a lot of trees. Like, I don't know if it was inside, outside, or maybe we were just in the trees, or maybe I'm misremembering, but it was like by the long ramp in where the bus would go in. Like, that's where we were just waiting for something to happen. And there's a weird sound. There's is that plane song? And Perry came out and he goes like this. Like Chris was saying earlier, how he does. And he just waved in like 50 Cure fans, like all of the fans that happened to be there hours before, because I guess we wanted to hear Soundcheck. So we got to see Soundcheck in 1996. Like, I didn't even think that was possible. But it was Perry who did it. And so we went in and we sat quietly. Nobody said anything. I think there's a few pictures out there. And then we all filed back out after the sound check. And that was I think the first time they played Plainsong, at least in America, since 1989. I could be wrong, but that's Perry. Taking in the waifs and the strays, And Donna told me not to cry, and Perry would do the same, but what can you do? Thanks to everybody. Oh, Kate says, yeah, he was kind of sneaky about it. Blew my mind. He was sneaky about a lot of things. You know what else he did? Here's a funny thing. I used to call it band speak, where I would, like, the band members would, like, Perry would often, I think he really wanted to be nice to people, but there was only so much he could do, probably without losing his job or, like, being annoying to his band members, or maybe he just felt sorry for us. I don't know. But in 1996 too, he said to my friend Ian and I, we're playing at a small bar somewhere on Santa Monica Boulevard. I've told this story before. And I was like, when, where, what? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't know when. They never know when, what time. So Ian and I, my friend, drove all the way down Santa Monica Boulevard for like 10 miles or however long it is. And we were about to give up, but we saw the buses, and it was the K-Rock, like a tiny little show with 300 people for like 5 songs. But that's Perry. He gave us the tip to go see them. So we love you so much, Perry. All of us do. And I hope the family can see how many people have chimed in here and know that many, 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 many people wanted to. And there's many, many people outside of this circle that love Perry so much. I've seen so many musicians give their heartfelt condolences, and so he is loved and he will be remembered. Anyone want to say any last words?
I just want to say that thank you very much to you, Arusha, to do this, to always give your time, your thoughts, your words, and all your efforts to do this. And I know that this probably is one of the hardest for you. And thank you so much. I think it was an amazing time this to remember Perry, to talk about Perry, to talk about our feelings about him, and to say the great person he was with all of us in many countries, in many cities, with many different situations, with many different people, with musicians, and the great man he was, the great musician, the great friend, the great boyfriend, the great fisherman, the great lover of music, archaeology, and nature. And I think we are always going to remember him alive. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, plus one, I think it's all been said, right? And I think we're all just trying to deal with the new reality, and hopefully his family has can find peace and strength, and um I just want to thank Perry for including us in his own way, right? In his own unique way. It was truly special. So thank you, and thank you, Arusha.
Community, man, we got to get through it together. You help me process,
Mm-hmm.
because I was riding around at work the other day, and they're like, what's wrong? Because I ride around, the battery's going to die, but I ride around in a car full of people, and I clean stuff. I clean the city up is basically my job. And I was like, well, somebody I know passed away, and I can't, like, they don't understand if it's not a family member. It's like, it's a member of the Cure. It's like, so I thank you for processing with me, and I hope that the people watching got something out of this, and to be continued.
Yeah.
To be continued.
Thanks all.
All right, bye-bye, everybody. Take
Bye.
care of each other, and if you have the strength, take care of somebody else. All right?
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Here's
Yes,
everyone.
to the new year.
Bye-bye.
Onwards and
Bye-bye.
upwards.